Oh, it's the podcast that is putting its hand up to play centre for the Sharks. And it's the podcast that's actually turned off the intro video. So Franco was pulling a funny face and then waiting for the video to start, fellas. And I just realised that I've actually turned the intro video off. So for over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. You don't have to hear it tonight, boys. So it's the podcast that just stuffed everything up. So that was quite fun and funny. There you go. I can just stuff things up, can't I, Franco? All right, well, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button to be notified of all of our videos. We have the debrief after full time of every Sharks match. We have the Sharks Classic match uploaded each week. And this week, it's a Wires Classic from the year 2000. Now, we have a full panel tonight, as you can see, by the four boys that are in. And they didn't get their 30-second warm-up. They just straight into it. So we've got Francis Crossley from Southside Physiotherapy in the top right-hand corner. Mate, we're not talking injuries tonight with you. How good?
Yeah, that's great. It's really good.
Yeah, we can actually...
Sure. I'm sure some people might throw some questions in the comments, though, for you, mate.
That's fine. Go for it.
Well, we asked Francis in the green room pre-match, actually, what's the funniest injury he's seen people turn up to Southside Physiotherapy with an injury. And the answer was people reaching down for their remotes was the PC answer, Francis. You got another one for us?
The rolled ankle's the most common one, and slipping off the edge of a step. So people think they're the only ones that ever done it, and it's probably the most common injury we see. So that's pretty entertaining when someone's explaining that.
All right. Well, a man is new to the channel, but also faced his own injuries and is wearing a lovely, well, he's got a peachy jersey behind him. So a lot of affection for the peach. Rod Stafford, and Staffo's got his own segment tonight, mate. You're looking forward to your segment?
Yeah, always love an opinion. So we'll see what everyone else thinks.
We'll definitely see what we think. And then Franco, mate, I stuffed up the start. Have you got any commentary on like me just stuffing stuff up? Like, does it matter now?
It's just part of the core, right? It's typical Boldo. If it's not a microphone with no sound, it's an intro with no video.
It's an intro with no video. And we're all sitting there waiting for it to start. We're like, okay. Oh, goodness me. And then I worked it. It's not starting. So anyway, what can you say? Great work. All right, on tonight's show, we have the return of the player tiers, guys. So Boldo's player tiers. Who's moving up? Who's moving down? I look back at the end of season tiers, and I can say, based on what was happening at the end of last season, player tiers are very different to the end of last season. So that's interesting. Staffo's got 3 ideas to help the Sharks right now. I asked him, Staffo, what do you think is some points that we could talk about? And he just fired off with 3 quick fire ideas. I'm like, let's turn that into a segment. We're obviously going to talk Raiders Fallout, Wars preview as the Cronulla Sharks welcome the New Zealand Warriors on Sunday at 2 p.m. We're going to talk about the centre position, guys. Jesse Ramian, probably the most talked about he's ever been, I think, for a long time, Jesse Ramian. We'll talk about his under pressure. What do we do next? I've got a quick take for you on the AGM, and Franco will also share some other Sharks news for you. A reminder, the ET stand is supported by local Shire businesses that help put all of this together for you guys, help fund a bunch of stuff that we do. And I'm pleased to announce that Francis has signed on for another year with us at Southside Physiotherapy. So Francis is a sponsor joining us this year again. Mate, you've been great to have you on board. Your insights into Sharks injuries and the Sharks history with your time as a physio there is absolutely brilliant. You've been helping me and my family for years. Your knowledge of sports injuries in terms of my injuries, my right foot and ankle, and Staffo's remembering when I was 21 and broke my leg and all that sort of fun stuff. Link for you guys is in the link in the description if you want to get down to Southside Physio. Pretty busy at the moment, Francis, isn't it? All the start of footy season stuff. We've got all the injuries going.
Pre-season injuries and old injuries coming back that people thought had gone away. So, yeah, pretty busy.
All right. So we always get Francis's opinions on all the Sharks injuries. Other partners include Solve Accounting and Mortgage Choice SCW, and 2 others that I'll talk to when I get to their segments pretty soon. Other than that, joining us is, of course, you guys. So have your say on the show. What do you think? What are you feeling about the Sharks match? We can see the Toilet Inspector. Good guy. G'day, guys. Looking forward to the game on Sunday. The Toilet Inspector, of course, being quite a prominent Warriors fan, an absolute legend, and dips in and out of watching this channel from good times. Great bio name there too. SJD in the comments says, this X Factor talking point is a bit rubbish. Raiders have multiple X Factors and look how they're going. We're going to come back to that comment, SJD. And George Bartram says, looking forward to the SJAFB Luke Cup up the Wars. Oh, we've got a couple of Wars fans in here just coming trolling us. The Warriors, can I just say, actually, I was going to say this in the segment, the Warriors fans and Wars Up TV, it's such a good time when we get to play the Warriors. They are my favourite team to play from a social perspective, but Franco, from a personal perspective, we seem to have lost 4 of the last 5, so we don't really like that part about it, but they're nice guys, Warriors, aren't they?
I think we're, look, I'm going to speak for a lot of fans here. I think we're all in agreement that if our team is not in the running, we'd like to see the Wars get up and get some silverware. I think it's especially poignant for Sharks fans who were long suffering and know what it's like to have a bare cupboard for so long. Get that monkey off your back. It's certainly better than seeing a club like the Panthers, the Roosters, the Broncos, etc., getting another victory. So yeah, if it's not us, go the Wars.
Hopefully it's you guys.
Yep.
All right, let's get into it. So first segment, the Raiders fallout. So Sharks beat the Raiders 34 points to 22 down in the nation's capital. Staffo, we'll start with you. Did this win tell us anything real about the Sharks, or was it more just about how poor Canberra were?
I mean, Canberra weren't great, but what would we be saying if we'd have lost on the weekend? You know, we'd be bad loss, very bad loss against the Dolphins, and then a loss, you know, the pressure would really, really be on in the media, fans, you know. So it's a bit of a leveler in that we got the points and we know we need to improve. It's obviously a huge game this weekend to back that up, but, you know, 2-2 is a lot better than 1-3. So I feel like any away win down in Canberra, like they got a lot of talented players, you take it. Any away win anywhere, you know, you pretty much take the 2 points. You know you're going to get effort. You know you might not get all the calls from the ref at times. So it's hard to be too disappointed with a, you know, solid enough win, even though we probably let them back into the game when we shouldn't have. So I think we take it and we move on.
Can I double click and, sorry, I'm going to go off the run sheet here. Franco, if we lose, do you think we get far more pressure than Ricky Stewart gets from losing that match? Or are we just in our own echo chamber and we miss it? Is there just heat on us?
Look, Ricky's got a lot of friends in the media, so he does have a little bit of protection there. That said, there is a lot going on at the moment within the NRL that probably makes talking for a team that's 3-1 a little bit redundant when you've got Manly who have winless and sacking their coach. You've got the Dragons who are winless and their halfback's just gone off a concussion, is going to miss 5 games. The Titans just won their first match. There's a lot of news stories going around that I think the Sharks losing again would probably only be a blip in the cycle. I think we would probably put more pressure on ourselves than what the media would at this stage. And, you know, obviously the more losses you rack up, the more that pressure builds. But at this stage, I think had we lost to Canberra, from a media perspective, I think it would have just been a footnote at the bottom of a how you going kind of article, and wouldn't have been much to it until, say, next week or the week after if we continue to rack up the losses.
Francis, where are you seeing us right now? Are we middle of the pack team, or are we closer to top 4 and we can push towards that?
Over the 4 games, we're probably overall disappointed. At round 1, I think we were awesome against probably a lesser opposition. But round 2 in Penrith, we got shown up. We gave them too much ball, but we didn't play terrible, but we got well beat. We dropped the ball against the Dolphins. We were pretty useless and lethargic and embarrassing. I think even though you commented on Canberra, I thought we were by far the dominant side. There's 2 or 3 scoring opportunities that we just missed. We bungled them. It could have been a much bigger score, and I thought we were a lot better. So I think if we get our mojo back with another win and get our confidence, we'll get back to that mentality of a top 4 team. I don't think we're a middle of the pack team at all, mate.
Staffo, is this officially Trindle's team now? The commentary was especially Cronk was very all Trindle. Trindle's got to do this. His kicking's this. And he goes the back seat.
I mean, I think it is from definitely a 5th play in that kicking game. His spiral sort of, his bombs, from that 30 or 40 meters out are really good. And that's quite dominant. And obviously he's getting a lot of try assists close to the line as well. I think it's the right play, what we're doing. They're playing to their natural strengths. Hopefully Nico can get more quality touches. I mean, even this season and the back end of last year, he was still scoring tries and he's still getting try assists. So it's not like it's not working and the pressure's, it's not like he's not playing well. I feel like he's still playing all right. He's defending hard. He should have a bit more fresh legs, But yeah, it's definitely Trindle's team from that chief playmaker, fifth tackle. Nico's still kicking goals. He's obviously still a key part of the team on that third or fourth tackle where he decides whether to run an inside play or, where to direct traffic before the fifth tackle. He decides whether we take momentum or not from a good hit up early in the set, I think, in that third or fourth tackle zone. So I think he's highly influential still. But yeah, I'd say Trindle is probably more chief. At the same time, like Jerome Hughes is the chief, isn't he, at Melbourne, you would say? Yet Munster's highly influential in that side. It's a 7-6. Are they a 7-6, 6-7? Right, that's all. That's just a number on the back. So, yeah, I think they've made the right call. But, yes, Trindle probably is slightly more dominant. Doesn't mean Nico can't have more influence on games in the big moments when it matters.
Francis, I'm throwing you a question I've also not prepped you on, so apologies for that. Yeah. I've looked at the body shape of Nico in the images, and I'm a Nico guy. I'm a massive fan of Nico. He looks bigger and just more muscly, and the shape of the halfbacks typically are a little bit smaller than what we're seeing Nico is now. And I think one clear benefit we see of Nico's strength and size is that his defense as a halfback. How do you feel about the different sizes of, as he's thinking about his training? Is he too big? Can he be too big as a halfback?
No, I don't think he can be, but I don't think he is. I think he's certainly bulked up and got a lot stronger than last season. And I think he claimed that earlier in the year. But yeah, his some of the try saving and great defence tackles in the last few games have been Nico. So yeah, I'm not anxious about his size. I don't think he's too big or losing skill value because he's bulked up or slowed down. Not at all. I think it's good for his endurance, and as they say, nothing wrong with being strong to help prevent injury as well.
All right. Well, the forward pack's also looking sizable as well, and there's been comments, Francis, that they're bigger than the other teams, and maybe in the six again. Well, how are you feeling about the forward pack of the Sharks? I think they improved on the weekend against a somewhat depleted Raiders team. AFB looked better. I think Toby is better off the bench, better off as a starter rather, with Hazelton better off the bench, more of an impact player. How are you feeling about the...
Yeah, I thought they showed a lot more go forward and more aggressive running against the Raiders, particularly compared to the Dolphins. They played similar sort of aggressive football in the forwards in round one. So, yeah, I think they're a fit side. I don't think we lack fitness. They've got strength. Just got to put it together. Yeah.
Franco, a couple of days on from our debrief now. We obviously talked about it for an hour, so I haven't gone to you as much on this segment. Have you got any concluding thoughts or anything evolved in your mind post debrief?
Yeah, look, I think in sort of rewatching bits and pieces of that match, and I still stand by the fact that there was a little bit of fortune going our way with the try that Nico set up there with that grubber. I might have been a bit harsh on Nico. Just looking back and going over it again, I think he did have a really good game, and yes, he was maybe overshone by Trindle, and there's a lot of talk about Trindle, but I do think Nico is doing a very good job. So, if it sounded like I thought he was not having a good game, I'd certainly retract that. I think he was doing a really good job for us, both in attack and defense. But I just think, it just doesn't. The optics don't seem to read as easily as that, as far as when you see Trindle throwing up booming kicks and sort of getting all those formations around him and more opportunities to sort of pick apart the defense. So yeah, I think Nico's doing really well, and I don't think I still think we're back to that whole it's not anyone's team. It's just whoever's on fire on the day they run with it, right? But yeah, ultimately we still beat a team that's 1 from 3, or 1 from 4. So they're not exactly a powerhouse this year. I do think we're still a top 4 team, but I don't think we've hit our straps yet. So I think we're going to need to be pretty diligent in the next couple of weeks to try and make sure that we sort of get back to where we know we should be.
Yeah, might just be one of those off Raiders years. They're good one year, they're bad the next. And the margins with their wins and with the halfback change, maybe they're just not ready yet. So we'll see how we go. The glasses are on, so I'm going to hit through the comments. So Bob Dobbo, in the comments says, if the Sharks don't win, would love to see the Wilds win it. So that's good to hear from you. Jacko here says, hi campers. Good to see you, Jacko. Oh, Jacko's another Warriors fan, actually. So it's so good when the Sharks play the Warriors. 2.0 in the comments says, if we beat the Wilds, I might sing a song on the debrief.
Has 2.0 calmed down since last time?
I think he's still angry about that from like 10 days ago. I think he's still like telling people that they can bugger off if they're not going to play for well. But he is pleased with 2.0 that we can also laugh at the Dragons. We'll see if that makes Franco's cuts for the other news. Bit of love for you, Francis, there as well. Bless you, Francis, from Sonia Quigley. Toilet Inspector just backs it up. Says, I was 12 when the Warriors began in 1995. I'm now 44. I will get on my knees and kiss the ground when we win our first comp. Hopefully the ground is clean. Yeah, I wasn't worried in 2016, Toilet Inspector, if the ground was clean. I was just kissing ground and loving life. And then Jacko here, 1878, says, Toilet Inspector, please settle it down. May happen once, but then again, maybe not. So just cool your jets. And then 2.0 points out that we're under the radar, lads. Let's talk about them, all them other teams. Let's just concentrate on building. Talking about building league clubs 2.0, or are we just talking about the team building? And then 2.0 makes another comment that says, now stay with me, lads. Could Nico be a 13 moving forward? Ball playing 13, pretty good defensively. Can run the ball, big stretch, however, worth a shout. Staffo, why don't you give us a reply to that?
Yeah, maybe in a couple of years. Maybe not yet, but I don't think it's the most out of this world idea. His defense has improved, but he'd probably need to bulk up a fraction more, I think. I think we've got a shout in there, don't we?
It's a better shout than Nico to fullback, that's for sure.
He's not quick enough for fullback. You look at blokes like, the Melbourne fullback, what's his name? And they're all jackrabbits, they're so agile. He's not that type of
Tracy, even Kennedy. Yeah, he's not a fullback anymore.
No,
he's
definitely not.
Not a fullback. Yeah. All right, well, let's move on to the next segment. Staffo's 3 ideas to help improve the Sharks. Here we go. Staffo, you ready for your own segment, mate? I guess so.
Let's do it. He's
a new panelist. We're giving him his own segment. 3 ideas from Staffo for right now that will help the Sharks. Let's get into it. Point number 1.
Nico, find some mongrel. We definitely, like we always say, we're a team that comes 3rd, 4th, 5th, middle of the pack, always in the finals. We need something a little bit more when the crunch comes to the crunch in the big games during the regular season and absolutely at the end of the year. I think we're a bit bereft of leadership, especially with McGuinness, more on the outer, probably won't be there next year. We're too nice. Kennedy's nice, Brayley's nice, Nico's nice. I think we need a little bit of mongrel. Nico's the bloke who's on the big paycheck. We ain't going to see it from Fanua-Blake. I can't see it from Brayley. I'd like to see Nico be the one that's firing his team up at that crucial moment in the 60th minute, where we need the team to lift, and we'll do anything to win the match. And that's how you win big matches. We always talk about v Melbourne, v Penrith. When it comes to those types of battles, there's something not quite there when we hit the 60-minute mark, that belief. And I think Nico, as much as he's playing all right, and maybe it's Trindle's team on the 5th tackle, he can show a lot of leadership by bringing a bit of mongrel out and inspiring his teammates a little bit more. I think we need a bit more of that if we're going to win a comp. We need to, we need a little bit more mongrel in the team. I don't think we're going to do it with, 15 out of 17 nice guys. The old saying, nice guys finish last. I feel like they're all 7 out of 10s every week, and that's not good enough to get past the prelim, right? We need a little bit more from someone. So I think Nico's the one for that. He may not be the skipper. Brayley can do that. That's fine. He needs to inspire the team as well. But, I see it improving gradually in Nico. There's got to be an inner, desire there with all the media stuff he's copped over the years and the pressure he's been under. He needs to utilise that and bring it out positively and inspire his teammates. That's what I'd like to see, especially come finals time. But, we need to do that during the regular season to believe we can do it at the back end of the year. So, yeah, find some mongrel, Nico. Love you, but
Franco?
I need a bit more.
Well, I mean, obviously Ronaldo is going to bring plenty of mongrel when he gets back into the team. But look, Nico is very much a confidence player. We've seen what happens when he gets knocked about and loses his confidence versus when he's on song and just, building momentum. That said, neither of those are relating around mongrel and that, I guess, wanting to get in the face of the opposition or in the ref or whatnot. We saw a little bit of that from him sort of mid-late last season, and I don't think it worked for him. I think he sort of went on tilt and lost focus on the game and what he was trying to do and sort of went away with what was working for him. So I think we're going to have to pick someone else to have the mongrel. He can be a nice guy so long as he's sort of on song, right? If he's lost his confidence or whatever, he might go into his shell. So we just wanted to do whatever it takes to get confident and to keep playing to the best of his abilities, because we know we've got it in him. We've seen it. We just want more of it. And I don't think thinking about being a mongrel or thinking about, trying to ruffle feathers is the right way to go about it for him. I think we can leave that to other players.
All right. These are out there ideas, Franco, so I'm applauding these, Staffo. I can see, I think the answer's somewhere in the middle. I would like him to be a little bit more, just a bit more feisty and fired up. I can see where you're getting with it. He's just a nice guy.
I'm not asking to ruffle feathers with opposition. It's inspire his teammates.
Yeah.
All
right, number two.
What I want to see. Yeah. Be faster. Yeah. God, that Dolphins game. I feel like when we get that momentum going in a set, especially in the day of six agains, etc. Too often we seem to take a settler instead of jamming it down the opposition's throat and being aggressive, backing ourselves. We take the settler, we lose momentum. There's a fifth play option, and we don't score off it because they've regrouped in defence. So I'd just like to see us go bang, bang, bang when we see those opportunities. Really that intent, positive intent, tackle, whatever it is, 2, 3, 4 through the middle of the set. When we do have a good hitter, or we do, spread it out wide to the centre and he makes a sort of a half break. I want quick play the ball. I think Brayley's a huge part of that. And when he does do that, I think it works really well. But we've got to go back to back to back. The inside ball back to Nicola, I think, has been killing us. I think opposition teams are onto it. And I think we do that to Ramian a fair bit as well. It all seems a little bit too predictable. It certainly feels predictable to me as a fan. So I can imagine the opposition that is studying this each week are well aware of it and planning for that now. So, I think with momentum, you tire the defence out, bang, bang, bang. It's the way the game's played these days. I see a lot of the good teams just go, Penrith really know when to push the button, and Cleary takes full control of that side. That's what I want to see Nico do, is when he has those opportunities, drive that intent with the side through those middle tackles on the set. Maybe we don't get to the fifth play. We've scored already.
Francis, how do we be faster? Think that's right?
I think it's right. I think the two games that we've won, we've played a lot quicker than the other two games. Penrith just grinded us down, and as Staffo said, we're just sort of pedestrian against the Dolphins, and fast line speed in all aspects in attack and defence. We get momentum, quick play the balls, forwards going forward, getting up, Brayley making runs and making yards, and then having someone back him up and go again and get second phase off him, which I think we've been lacking. So, I think get speed is, I think they talked about starting and playing fast, and saw a bit of it again against Canberra. Just need to, as Staffo said, I agree, just ramp it up.
I feel like maybe we were gassed against the Dolphins too after seeing the Panthers put the Eels to the sword, but we got to beat them.
That's right.
To win the comp. So, yeah.
2.0 says, play more off the cuff. When was the last time we saw a grubble on tackle? 2-3 inside the 10-metre zone, in behind when everyone else chasing. Our line speed has been atrocious this season. It's probably not wrong. All right, idea number 3, Staffo. This one, I purposely put myself to respond to this one. So here we go.
Yeah, it's not one for the next few weeks, obviously. Maybe it's a bit left to centre, but pardon the pun. But Ronaldo, I think it really comes down. I think Stone Street's been good. I wasn't convinced whether he would be, good enough, and Ronaldo would probably come straight back in. That may still happen, of course, but later in the year. But I feel like Stone Street's been really good. His aggressiveness running out from the back has improved. He still gets pushed back a little bit. I think he's got a bit of strengthening to do there, which he'll probably get as he gets a bit older. Has a few more pre-seasons, etc. But I think Ronaldo to the centres, if they've got an opportunity to do it later in the season when Ronaldo's back, or possibly, if we don't sign Jesse for next year, then a pre-season with Ronaldo defending in the centres. I think attack will be fine. I think the kick chase, Ronaldo's unbelievably good. A lot of the kicks seem to go to the centres, those high balls, because obviously if you go to the wing, you can kick it out on the full. So there's a little bit less risk in that, and Ronaldo can probably catch it and disrupt from anywhere. So, and I know sometimes that they do swap anyway. And when I have seen Ronaldo swap over, I've liked what I've seen. He just gets the ball more, and he's a really good player. So get your good players the ball more. I'd like to see it happen. And if it doesn't work, you look at other options. But I think it's worth a crack. We're same every single week, year in, year out. That's something I think we could do, even if it's for a 3 or 4 week period later in the year, depending on how things are going, injuries, etc. Just to see.
What worries me about that, though, Staffo, is Ronaldo is basically, in my view, one of the elite wingers in the competition. So we're not strengthening one position just to weaken the other. So I can certainly see the point. If you were to rank look, on the current form guide, and it's my spoiler alert, but I don't think Ramien's going to be too high on Boldo's tiers in a minute. If you were to rank the outside backs, the top 5 outside backs, you'd have to say Ramien 6th, behind Stone Street, Ronaldo, Katoa, KL, and Kennedy. So on that, if you're trying to force those 5 into the positions, then you're playing Ronaldo in the centres. Look, we've been playing around with this idea of Talakai in the centres for years. Is Viola or Gabriel good enough to come up? It's a problem for us, but I can see that I'm reasonably sure they're not going to re-sign Jesse Ramien, and his defence has been an absolute query for us the last couple of weeks. So could Ronaldo shore that up? Centres get paid more money. The defensive requirements of the centre is just so important. The good news is at least he wouldn't be able to rush in off the wing anymore and let in tries if he was in centre. So at least we wouldn't have that problem anymore. I don't hate it, Staffo. I think it's not a terrible shout, but I agree. Also, Stone Street needs to learn how to hit it up a little bit harder. So I can see Franco's championing it the bit though. I think Franco hates the idea of Ronaldo to the centres.
I was just going to say, look, centre is a much harder position to defend in than winger. So if you're worried about his defence and rushing in, then being in centre's I've got some concerns for you, mate. But look,
but at least he couldn't rush in off the wing anymore, Franco.
He can rush in off of the centre and then bring the winger in because the winger's got to follow him, and then we're complaining about whoever's outside him. So, it's a good shout out. He obviously played his juniors in the centres. He can certainly handle it. We've seen him, as you said, there, Staffo, he swaps from time to time. And we've certainly targeted more of a middle of the field bomb where he's come in to get it. But yeah, I don't know. It's probably a scenario where if we find that he's in the center position and we haven't re-signed Ramian, it's because whoever we've got coming through isn't ready yet. I don't think it would be a choice that we make willingly.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, good point. Good take there, Franco. Francis, anything to add on the next slide? That's Staffo's 3 ideas. I don't mind them. Anything else, Francis? You got any other harebrained plans?
Just the push up when Brayley was awesome last season of making these dummy half runs, and he had support often, and it would often lead to a try off that play or the following play, and it just hasn't been there this year. He's making a few breaks and then he's sort of left on his own. There's no one either side of him. So I think that goes hand in hand with the be faster second point that Staffo made. So just backing Brayley up when he darts, that's my only other point I think we could improve.
Franco,
and that's why we're forced into settling sometimes, isn't it? Because, it's not a team ethic to, righto, there's half a break, let's all go 100%, that needs to be automatic.
Yeah, I think that's right. Franco, I'll get you to answer this one, mate. How can we use AFB more in attack as an idea? What would you do?
I think he's already heavily used in attack. I don't know how much more you want from the bloke. He's getting 200 meters. He's barging over close to the line. He's
not exactly ball playing or offloading all the time, though.
Well, he's a prop. What do you want from him? You want meters from him, or he's going to stop and prop in the line, look for the offload. It's there's very few props that can do both. And maybe if he pokes his nose out the other side and we've got someone trailing, they put the blame on Kennedy or someone else there to be there for him to have as a target for the offload. But as Francis just mentioned, we don't really follow the play very well in our team. So, he's better to just pump the legs and keep going. I think I've mentioned in the past, maybe I'd like to see him hit the deck a little quicker instead of going for those post-contact meters to set up for the next quick play of the ball. But that said, I did see him do that a few times against Canberra. So, horses for courses. I think he's doing what he's expected of him. And as far as attack, I don't think there's much more you can ask from him. He's certainly he's the go-to prop when we're looking to try and move on the front foot. I think maybe that's maybe a bit detriment to him because I think defensively, while we've seen some great stops from him, I think he's maybe a little bit fatigued and a little bit slow in plugging gaps, sort of in the midfield. So, yeah, look, I wouldn't worry about trying to bring him in more for attack. I think we're fine doing that. It's more maybe using him more as a decoy, if anything, I would say, because there's certainly everyone looking out for him to make those barnstorming runs.
Yeah.
I'd love AFB to get a bit more mongrel. I don't think we've seen him just go out and be really angry with the team for a while. I think that's missing, which I would like. All right, well, those are some crazy out there ideas from Staffo. Well put together there, mate. I quite enjoyed that. So the cool thing about this show is we don't claim to always be right. We just make up stuff and then let you form your own opinions. So it's some nice cogent analysis there, Staffo. That's quite good. All right, on to the next is the Warriors preview. So the Cronulla Sharks welcome the New Zealand Warriors to Ocean Protect Stadium for a 2 p.m. kickoff on Sunday. 3 wins for the Warriors, who were last start losers, though, against the Tigers, who will get the chocolates this Easter in the Easter egg special. I was pretty happy with it. I came up with that line. This match preview is brought to you by Miranda Hotel, because, of course, it is. With the largest sports screen in the Shire. Can't get to the game or want to watch any NRL game this weekend, get down to Miranda Hotel. You might want to book early for the Sharks match because that, of course, will be Easter Sunday. And I'll just say this again by reiterating, I love playing the Warriors. Our Sharks' recent form against the Warriors, we lost 4 of the last 5. Now, 2024, we had that shocker where they had the comeback with Sean Johnson. Recently, they've just seemed to have the wood on us. So, yeah, 4 of the last 5. We won a couple before that. And then, yeah, the 2021s to 2015, we were like pumping them and winning them all the time. So, yeah, they'll be smarting from this week, this most recent week. the guys on Wires Up TV were calling out how they just seem to not turn up, and they'll want to work out how to manage Tanner Boyd and Metcalf. The Sharks have named their team to take on the Warriors. I'll just pull up that team. So the team is Kennedy, Katoa, Ramian, Iro, Stone Street, Braden Trindle and Hines on unchanged backline. It's been formally put into the numbers with Toby Rudolph in the number 10 jersey with Fanua Blake in the front row. Blake Brayley's the captain and the hooker. Teague Wilton and Billy Burns continue in the second row with Jesse Colquhoun as the lock. And the 14 is C.S. Ifatalakai, Tom Hazelton, Oregon Kafusi, Braden Ueli, and then with Marwin Hiroti, Howepa Peru, as Jaden Beryl's also on the extended bench, and Britton Nickera in jersey 22 also could come back. Franco, your reaction to this Sharks team?
I mean, I think I woke up, took my head off the pillow, checked out the team, and went, yep, put my head back on the pillow. It's what's expected. We sort of said there would be no real changes off the back of the drubbing from the Dolphins. So after a victory against Canberra, it's rinse and repeat. Let's go. Obviously, Toby officially named as a starting prop for this one, so good luck to him.
Francis, where do you think this team needs to improve? Warriors will be a bigger assignment than the Raiders.
It'll be Fisher Harris will be definitely in there. I think Barnett's out with a thumb injury, so he's gone for several weeks, I believe. So challenge will be in the forwards to get our go forward, so we can do the things we talked about: play fast, get momentum, put a bit of mongrel against them. I think it's our chance to do that and get some confidence. And confidence is such a thing. If we get a couple of wins together, the whole atmosphere in a team becomes super positive. So, it's a big game for both teams. As you said, Wales are be smarting from their loss, but it's a really big game for us, and then we're home. I don't know what the crowd will be like on Easter Sunday, but I think it's a big challenge for us, and it's our chance to get our seasons started. I think, as Franco said, we haven't really hit our straps properly, just bits and pieces. So want to put it together. Yep.
Well, the Sharks haven't asked me to do a radio ad for them, Francis. So maybe they've sold enough tickets.
I heard you on Triple M the other week.
Oh, did you? Or maybe they just worked out that I'm just complete rubbish. Poor Staffo. You must have just been thinking, oh, goodness me, Boldo.
Everywhere, man.
Just everywhere to do with the Sharks. Staffo, how does this team shape up against the large and physical Warriors? They're always big, the Warriors. How do we deal with that?
Yeah, I think we'll be okay. I mean, Halasima's been an absolute handful. We've got a big bench, so if we can obviously just get through that first 20 minutes, I think last year we often did well between 20 and 40 minutes. We had better bench depth than most teams. So, I think it's a huge game for us, After last game's disappointing home game, I think we should be really fired up to show that we are a contender against a team that has started really well. And, most people are tipping to be close to the top four at the end of the year now, maybe not before the season. So, if we can't fire up for this one, early in the year to prove our wares, then, that'd be a real worry. So I'm tipping us.
Would not be good in a row for Sharks fans. Look, we can be a little fickle for Sharks fans, can't we, really? So a couple of losses in a row is certainly not going to help us. All right, let's go through this Warriors team. Does anyone want to volunteer to go through the very heavily? No, am I putting my glasses on? All right, I'll do it. All right, the Warriors team to take on the Sharks. Hey?
Look how many hyphenated names there are.
Oh, it's incredible how many. What do they got? 7 hyphenated names. So, fullback Tane Tuia Picky. Look, toilet inspector and the Wires Up guys. Just give me a hard time for these. I really should have practiced these, shouldn't I, Franco? This is going to be an absolute train wreck. So, Tane, he's certainly elusive. On the wing, they've got Dallin Wateni-Zalesniak, which I got right, and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. So, great set of wingers there. In the centres, they've got Adam Pompey and Chance Nickel-Klokstad, which is an interesting move having Nickel-Klokstad in the centres. Not sure that they totally feel completely comfortable with that. In the halves, they've got the combination of Metcalf and Tanner Boyd. So can those two get it together as a combination, or are they Adam Dykes and Brett Kamali? Hopefully they're Adam Dykes and Brett Kamali. The powerhouse front row of James Fisher-Harris with an eye that I just forgot to put in. Jackson Ford, And then the ever-impressive Wade Egan at hooker. I reckon Wade Egan's a smoky to unseat Brayley as the New South Wales hooker. It's no lock that Brayley will be the hooker. Lika Halasima.
Can't be unseated if you're not in there yet.
Hey?
You can't be
Oh,
unseated.
yeah, I guess you can't. Well, everyone's talking up that it's going to be Brayley. You know what I mean, Staffo. Hey, don't let facts get in the way of Oldham trying to talk. Aaron Clark at lock, and then Sam Healy, ex-Sharks, of course, son of Mitch. Marato Niokore, Dimitrik Vaimunga, Tana Stowers-Smith, Chanel Harris-Tavita, and Eddie Irama Tueva. And apologies for that absolute nightmare. Really, really should have practiced that and listened to that a little bit more closely. The Waz chat on Waz Up TV. Should they keep – this is interesting, actually. I get Franco away on this one. They actually were asked, should they have kept Metcalf out of the team and just run with Tanner Boyd and Harris-Tavita? Franco, you can't hold Metcalf out of the team. He's just star signing, can't you?
Is this Waz fans off the back of a loss, or is this as in hindsight, or is this before last week they probably should have made the change?
It's all afterwards, Franco. There's none of it before.
Look, you've got to put him in. He was the Dally M
leader,
medal winner or leader before going down injured. Absolute on fire. The question should maybe be asked if maybe he's not quite fit yet. He's still getting his fitness up. Hasn't really had a lot of didn't have a preseason with the team, so he hasn't maybe got a good understanding of the players around him just yet. Also now playing back in 6, so that's got to bump you around a bit. 6 to 7, back to 6 again. It's your team. It's not your team. So no denying how well Tanner Boyd's been playing and deserves to hold his spot. But, I think the fact that they've re-signed Metcalf long-term, he's committed to them, they're committed to him. They've got to put him in the team and hope that it comes good, right? So you're playing him.
As Toilet Inspector says, Wavs halves, combo is new, Metcalf building match fitness. And then Toilet Inspector correctly corrects me. Tuapiki is how you pronounce the fullback's name. Tane Tuapiki. You knew that, didn't you, Staffo?
No. Definitely not.
Nodding. Yeah, right.
No.
All right, fair enough. Mitcha Barnett is also out. That's got to help. And Fisher, Harris, and Jackson forward are no slouches, though. They're going to be tough. Francis, are the Warriors the real deal? Are they one of the top 4 teams?
Well, this far into the season, you'd have to say they're on their way. They've been playing out of their pants, so very impressive. So, as much as we can say at this stage, they could be heading up towards that. It's early days, so I can't really be confident that they definitely are, but they've showed a lot more potential than a lot of the rest of the teams.
Yeah, I just think the loss against the Tigers was a bit of a blip, and they're a little bit unlucky with a couple of calls and a couple of things going on. They're going to be good. Now, the other chat coming out of Waz Up TV on this was also the conjecture around their centres and backs. And so I threw in their chat that I thought our centres defence wasn't any good, and they immediately responded, well, our centres defence isn't any good either. Staffo, that's got to help us with our, given how we saw Herbie Farnworth absolutely tore us up and some other moments with the lackluster defence of the Shark centres.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds great. Ramian, hat-trick, yeah.
Is all forgiven. Is he turning into Ben Pomeroy then? If there's
could be a good chance for him to get some form back, yeah. I mean, Nick Klotz has played so much fullback, hasn't he? So, that's obviously different. And Tuapiki, he's relatively new, I gather. So, no doubt there's opportunities, possibly under the high ball, whatever it might be. And the halves, maybe they haven't quite gelled yet. So let's take advantage. You got to go to whatever weakness you can. So if there's a few there, let's go, because it's probably not in the forward pack.
All right, guys, get your tips in. Harley's tipping, surprisingly. I can't believe Harley's tipping a Sharks win here. That's just so unlike you, Harley. For those in the know, Harley always tips a Sharks win. 2.0 says, despite my lack of confidence, although I say this game is a Golden Point bound with a Stone Street try and Golden Point 26 points to 22. Let us know in the comments. We'll also go through some other comments in a second. Franco, how do we beat them? What do we do?
this is one of those ones where we've got to make sure we don't beat ourselves. I think there's going to be a lot of play down the middle. Give ourselves a bit of room and space to play our game. But as we've seen, we've got to some good leads against the Warriors, and they come back and bite us. Whether it's freakish plays or their wingers managing to get around us and score in the corners in the dying minutes. Look, I'd say we've got this in the bag. We've just got to, cliche as it is, play the 80 minutes, right? So they do worry me because I've been scarred by seeing them come back and beat us time and time again. But if we play the way we know we can play for 80 minutes, they've got a good, strong forward pack, but we need to match that, muscle up, and then we've got them, I think. I think they're a little bit disjointed at the moment, as mentioned, with Metcalf coming in at 6. That's sort of throwing them out a bit out of kilter. So I think that we should come out of this with the win. But as always, overconfidence and not playing till the bell at the end. It wouldn't surprise me if it's a nail biter.
Staffo, give us a tip.
I just had a look at the forecast, and it's 7 mil Saturday, 9 mil Sunday. So it could be some rain about. So possibly a low-scoring game. Who knows? But I'm tipping the Sharks. I think we'll be embarrassed by that Dolphins game. It was disgusting for so early in the season. And I think they'll be ripe to turn up and take the points. I think maybe a low-scoring game, but 24-10 or something like that to the Sharks. I think we'll do it well. Prove a point.
Francis?
Yeah, I'm with Staffo. I think we're embarrassed by our last home game. Hopefully they felt like they let everyone down and want to, redeem themselves with a good, strong win, strong play and a strong win. Definitely, as we already mentioned, the Tars will be keen to get back after their loss. But, I think we'll I don't know if it'll be such a low-scoring game. I haven't seen many of those this year, but if it's wet, I can see that point. But I think it'll be more like 28-16 to the Sharks.
All right, 3 positive tips for the Sharks. Boys, I don't think we can beat the Warriors. I think they're one of the front team. I'm the truth broker and honesty broker of the ET stand. Oh. And so
you've been watching the other channel too much.
You've been listening. Yeah, you've been listening to other podcasts too much, mate.
It's been 3.5 hours watching Wars Up TV. They've got me convinced. They talk about. No, I just fear the Warriors. We've lost 4 of the last 5 against them. They'll be smarting from last week. That was a blip. I just feel we're not quite right, guys. So I think I'm worried about us as the viewership goes down significantly. But look, hey, what would I know? I just host a podcast and have some glasses. All right, let's go through some more of these comments. Get your tips in. Tell me why you think I'm wrong. I can't wait for the debriefing to be proven to be absolutely wrong. That's going to be so good. Bob Dobbo. Unfortunately, Bob Dobbo, if you continue with these comments saying that Dan Ganane should be the PM best caller ever, I'm going to have to ban you from the channel because we all know that Dan Ganane is not the best caller and probably the least popular of all the callers. Other comments in here. A little bit of Jesse Ramian. We'll get onto that in a moment. Pete Hall says, Boldo is spot on. Ronnie is a class winger. Leave him where he is. Oh, thanks, Pete. Good to see you. 2.0 says, put him to fullback. I think that was in response to AFB, so that's an odd choice. 2.0, putting AFB back to fullback.
Maybe Ronnie.
I think that was Ronnie, of course. Stewie Campbell in the comments. Roddy has been killing in the reserves. He has been in pretty good form for a while, Roddy. Just got done in by a couple of injuries at the wrong time, didn't he, Franco? The older Roddy.
He showed some pretty good form last year in first grade.
Yeah, I thought he was hard done by towards the end of last season. Could have got some more game time in firsts. But yeah, certainly injury has kind of crueled it for him. Only really just got back from injury a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, played fullback for the Jets and had a great game again. And I think he's very versatile and a very good signing by the Titans. They're going to really enjoy his wares up there. So it's a shame that we couldn't hang on to him any longer, but to be fair, in his development, hasn't been getting regular first grade goes, and I imagine he would have had a chat to the coach, and the coach sort of said, "Yeah, look, you're going to get a better opportunity up there." That said, talking about Ronnie to the centres and who's going to fill in there if Ramian's busted and out, Hirotti's definitely the first choice to go in there.
Yeah,
I think so. All right, let's hit through these comments quickly. Pete Hall says, we are T steps into regeneration. Kale into centres. It's pretty new. Jesse Colquhoun to lock. The next centres are Gabriel. It's probably fair. Shuey Campbell points out that Iro had his worst game in first grade last week. Almost half his last year's missed tackles in one game.
I
Expect a
agree.
big game from him this week. Ash Williams calls out that he'd like to see Hirotti come in for Jesse. Toilet Inspector calls out that the Wars halves combo is new and Metcalf is building match fitness. Pete Hall in the comments says, against the Warriors, I'd be tempted to start with Talakai and Burns. Wilton had dimension on the bench and him coming on with better speed than Siffer. Yeah, they're just not running Talakai for that many minutes, are they, Franco? I can't see him doing that, but I can see your point.
I love Talakai. I think anyone who's a regular listen will know that. But Wilton is a starter. He plays better when he starts and gets a feel for the game, builds into the game. He's not an impact player. I think when we've seen him come off the bench, he just doesn't really add much to the team. So he's a starter for mine, and then Talakai, when we need him, comes in to change momentum or continue the steamroll.
All right. Sorry, guys. We're going to skip to the next segment. Bob Dobbo, I take it back. You guys are awesome. Thanks, Bob Dobbo. Don't worry, mate. I'll accept the stick about Dan Ganane. We need to do a segment on our least favourite commentators at some point, don't we, Franco? But we're a bit scared to do it because Fox might target us and then shut us down, or who knows what might happen.
Doesn't have to be our least favourite. Can be our favourite, and just someone's got to be at the bottom.
Well, the previous least favourite retired, so I think we're kind of in the clear on that one. And then SJD amusingly points out, I like how 24-10 is low scoring in this climate. That's true. All right, let's get into the next segment. It's the blue chip segment for the ET Stand podcast as we get into our 50th minute of the show. It's now time for Boldo's Players Tiers. It's a review of the Sharks player performances so far this season, not ranked on daily endpoints, not ranked on what their salary cap is or what you might expect from them. It's based on what output we're getting from them right now based on their position, their pay grade, and ability to impact based on what we might like to see. It's not a tiers of just, me putting it together. There's an esteemed panel of other Boldermans who sit around and just chat footy generally about the Sharks because that's all we do. And we don't like to let my mother talk about anything else. The tiers are brought to you by Morgans at Cronulla. They can help you with your share trading, looking at what is trending up and trending down, just like the player tiers based in Cronulla, right near the car park in the mall, behind where Jolly Rogers used to be. They provide share trading for everyone in the Shire and have been supporting us since we asked to give Charles and Chris a call. How this works, guys, is I go through the player tiers and afterwards you guys respond and call me an idiot. Sometimes I theme them. I was going to theme them Survivor because Survivor's on at the moment, but I'm confident that Colby's going to keep going and he will be top of the tiers as the analogy. So I'll get into that in a second as I add the tiers to the stage. Let's get into it. The Boldo's player tiers. Who's at the bottom? All right, well, you don't have to be rocket science to work out who I've got at the bottom of Boldo's players tiers. And on his own, Jesse Ramian, bottom. On his own, just horrendous form. He's got the Sharks fans calling for his head. It may be a bit harsh. It may be tough given who the players are above him. I think there's some water boy who's 15 who might be ahead of Jesse Ramian at the moment in terms of the player tiers. Poor Jesse. But, man, I believe in you, Jesse. You've been great for us in the past, so I believe you can get better. On to the next tier. Well, the extended bench, and then that's basically it for these guys. I'm not sure Chris Viella, Gabriel, Peru ×2, and Beryl, they're going to get much time on anything other than the extended bench or anything else. Maybe if there's an injury or two or something happens, Blake Brayley makes it. But I think these guys spend the majority of time on their extended bench, and I can't see them cracking it. As opposed to the next guys, well, I'd love to see it. Hirotti, Ison, even Cam McInnes coming back. That would just be great. So these guys on the third tier, but love to see them find a way to make themselves in a team. Marween Hirotti, you know I'm a big fan and admirer of yours. I'd love to see you get some time. On to the next. Underwhelming. Well, these guys, this season so far, Oregon Kafusi, Braden Ueli, Tom Hazelton, and Kale Iro, they have overall been pretty underwhelming for me so far this season. I haven't thought for any time, these forwards have come on and absolutely changed the game. And Calero, as said in the comments previously, has had his more worse missed tackles than almost last season all combined. So they're underwhelming, but that doesn't mean you guys can't fix it up. On to the next. Well, these guys just need more time. So Teague Wilton, he's only been back for 1 week, so I think he will improve and move up the tiers. So you can be confident, Teague. I believe in you on that front. And Stone Street, well, look, he's a try-scoring machine. Needs more time, though. And as I was looking back to last season, he was much lower and finding himself out of the team. So as 2.8 points out, we will have words on Sunday. Yeah, sure we can. But, it's not too bad. He's ahead of Jesse Raymond. He's not doing too bad. On to the next. Regression. Oh, goodness me. These 5 are all previous champions of Boldo's player tiers. Nico Hines, Blake Brayley, AFB, Britton Nickera, and Siosif Talakai. I don't think any of them have been anywhere near where we've seen from them previously in terms of 2024, 2025. They've all seemed to have gone backwards or not playing anywhere near their potential. So I want to see some improvement from you guys. So I'm calling your aggression. Doesn't mean I don't think it can improve, but guys, you were previously at the top. Now, you're kind of halfway. On to the next. Bright spots. I reckon Jesse Colquhoun and Toby Rudolph off the bench, and Toby Rudolph's power running has been particularly good. Toby Rudolph's been a bench forward and forced his way back in. Toby, I'm liking what you're seeing. Jesse Colquhoun, loving it. You're the starting lock now. You're going to unseat McInnes. Great. Good work, guys. But I've really liked it from Billy, Willie, and Sione. I was really pleased when that one rhymed. So Billy Burns, goodness me, you are like super fanboy now. Good for you, Billy Burns. All the fans loving you. Will Kennedy, I've liked the form. You're going to win a contract from somewhere else. And Sione Katoa, guys, let's not forget Sione Katoa's ability to score tries in big moments. I think Sione Katoa has been particularly good. Good for you, Sione Katoa. On to the next. Well, he just can't come back fast enough. Ronaldo Mulatalo. You say, how can an injured player be so high? Guys, we haven't looked that good. And we haven't looked that good because we haven't had our key guy, Ronaldo Mulatalo, previous champion of the tiers. Can't come back fast enough. Ronnie, you look absolutely great. Absolutely great in those recovery videos. Francis is going to do a review of them soon. All right, 2 positions left on the tiers. Who's in position 2, I hear you ask? Could it be Tuku Hautapua? No, because he's technically not in the squad as per listed on the sharks.com.au. So it can only be one guy. That's right, nobody, because we got problems. We don't have anyone who's our second best player really contributing at the moment. It's vacant because the clear top dog at the moment, it's his team now. Braden Trindle, you are top of Boldo's player tiers. And I know how excited you were about being on top of Boldo's player tiers when I talked to you about it a couple of weeks ago. So good for you, Braden Trindle. You're playing super well. All those try assists, all that good work. That's Boldo's player tiers for the month of March and the season so far. Franco, who would you move up or down? Give us a reaction.
Whew, look at that. I mean, you've got to work your way into the Boldo tiers for the year as well, right? That is not looking like a tier structure at all. But I think it's a bit harsh on Hohepa when he came on for limited minutes there. I think it was against the Panthers. He really added a bit of spark. I think it's just going to be one of those things where he's going to need an opportunity, or hopefully the coach just looks at what's happening on the field or who the opposition is and sees an opportunity for him to come in and create something from nothing. I really think he's got value to add to that team when he's on the field. So yeah, I'd move him up because he had a bright spot as short as it was. I think he's really good. I think it's also worth mentioning, while you've called it regression, I think we're not saying they're bad, because I think they've had some pretty good performances this year. Only 4 games in, 4 rounds in, but they're not as good as they have had in their peaks of last season. So like Brayley's been pretty strong. We saw a really strong game from Nico as well. Talakai unfortunately just isn't getting the same game time as he has in the past, and nor the same opportunities. So yeah, I can see that. AFB little bit hit or miss there, but last game, as I said, 200 running meters, he's certainly doing what he needs to do there. And poor Nickera broke his nose. So look, I think you've done pretty well there. There's a couple I'd shift up. However, maybe Brayley gets a shift up. But overall, pretty good, mate. Pretty good.
Francis, who are you moving up or down?
I think I'd probably put Stoney up to a bright spot. I look at him under the high ball this year. I look at him running, chasing down the kicks close to the opposition goal line. He's caught some beauties and scored at least once, and he's finished a lot better. His hit ups from our own red zone, he's better, but as Staffo said, he still gets knocked back a bit, but I think he's improved. So I reckon he could go up to a bright spot in my part, because I thought he had a lot to improve on, and I think he's improved in a lot of areas, and it's only round 4, so I think he's a bright spot in the 4 rounds. Yeah. So I'd put him up. Put him down, I wouldn't put anyone down. I think at this stage it's fairly accurate. The 4-5 there in the regression haven't had horrible games. It's just, as Franco said, not as dominant as and A class as they have been. So there's room for them to get on and show it this weekend. Yeah.
Staffo, the pandemonium of Boldo's tears. First time you might have seen this live on air. Have you got a response, or what do you think?
Oh, it's not bad. I agree. Puru had the bright spot. Stoney maybe a bit higher. Again, I'm not sure about the word regression. Maybe just the word okay, for most of those guys. Although Nikora to me has been underwhelming, maybe Nikora down. I'd love to see Ison more. I'd love to see anyone from just, reserves pressuring our guys in the 17 a little bit more. We just don't quite have, like other clubs seem to have, someone pressuring. So I think that'd drive the guys a bit. Maybe a bit harsh on KL as well. I think he's been okay. He had one bad game on the weekend, but he was a superstar.
Can't have them all at the top, Staffo. It's not just there's all the players at the top and just Jesse Ramey and down the bottom. So.
You can make whatever shape you like by the looks of it.
Tiers, mate.
We have problems here. You have problems, Boldo. You have problems.
Well, there's no one second. I just don't think anyone's anywhere near Trindle, and I just don't think our other top guys. But it's not that I don't believe in them, but we've just seen more dominant performance by all of those top 5 guys. Like, if you think about what those top 5 guys did when they were top of the tiers, actually, I think Nico's never been top of the tiers. If you think about what those top 5 guys did when they're top of the tiers, it's like light and day between what we've had so far this season. So let's see how we go. All right. Well, that was Boldo's tiers. What do you think? Get it in the comments. What did you think? A few reactions there. But always good fun to do. Next month's player tiers will be Survivor themed. So the words in the black boxes will be Colby and Richard Hatch and I don't know, whoever else, Boston Rob or something. I'll come up with one of that at the time. All right, let's move on to the next. We're going to talk about the center position, guys, because that is the hot topic of right now, certainly among Sharks fans. So we're running a little over time, but it's all right, isn't it, Franco? We don't mind a long podcast.
I'm here for it.
You're here for it. Let's just keep going. All right. Jesse Ramian has come under severe fire from Sharks fans for a string of performance recently, off contract at the end of the season. Let's chat possible short-term and long-term solutions. Francis, what do you think the Sharks should do at centre, long-term, short-term?
Well, I think we touched on Hiroti perhaps going there, and we touched on Ronnie, but Ronnie's not coming back anytime soon. So, I think Hiroti's our man to fill the space. That's if
you go Hiroti short term, Francis. You'd get him in, dump Ramy in. How do we deal with that though? What about the news, the pressure? Do we have a bronze and cherry?
No, we don't. I don't think we do. I mean, the other one is, do you blood someone from the Jets like Gabriel, who's maybe ready, maybe not? So I don't think there's any easy answer.
Franco, can the Sharks?
If it was up to me, I'd put Hiroti in because he's proved. He's got a lot of skills. He can, he's got variety. He can play in different positions. And, as we said a little bit earlier, he was a bit unlucky last year with injury because he was coming into form and playing really well.
Franco, if the Sharks dumped Ramy into the Jets and had a Bronson Cherry style moment where he's out in the press, and it's not typically the thing that the Sharks do. I haven't really seen that from the Sharks for a while. I guess we did it with Matt Moylan, but that was a bit out of the ordinary, and he was pretty bad. Can we handle that? What would happen?
I don't think, and this is no slight on Ramian, but I don't think he's high profile enough at a high profile enough club for that to make waves. I think if he was quietly dropped, it wouldn't be making the back page. It might, since he's off contract, his agent might try and ruffle something up to let other clubs know that he's available. But other than that, I think it would just go quietly into the night, especially if, say, Hiroti had a good game and that's it, end of story. But that said, look, we're not going to be dropping Ramian. If we are dropping Ramian, it's because something pretty drastically bad has occurred. We've lost 4 or 5 games in a row. We're towards the bottom of the ladder. He's been our centre for pretty much all of Fitzy's tenure. When he's on, he's on. He's just a bit of rocks and diamonds and has a lot of brain farts, right? So I think the problem is he's in tight with the players. He does his job. We don't. I was going to say he's not a liability, but he certainly feels like a liability. But it's one of those things where obviously the coaching staff are happy with what the output that he's giving them. And while we win games, he's going to be there. So unless he gets injured, it's not going to change. I think that.
What would you do, Franco?
What would I do?
Yeah. What would you do? Okay.
I think I said last season when Hiroti had those couple of games, he's far more skillful. I'd put Hiroti in. The problem is we're not developing with either player because we're assuming that Ramian's not going to get re-signed. He may, you never know. He's playing for a contract. Maybe he comes out the other side with another 2-year contract with the Sharks. So that is definitely a possibility. That said, Hiroti is not developing for the future, and I don't think any of our juniors are quite ready to step up yet. They might get a taste if we're against sort of considered a weaker opposition with some injuries in the squad. But other than that, I don't think they're going to get a run anytime soon. So it's really Hiroti or Ramian at this stage. And I think status quo, if we're winning, you don't change your winning team. So Ramian, stick solid, mate. Play hard, train hard, earn that new contract if that's what you want. So I think he's going to stick around. I don't think there's going to be any big disruptions there. I think, he works well with Katoa, and I think that's just going to continue on, and we will see where that eventuates. I think for me, the big issue is that our centers are bruisers. They look to bash and barge. There's no finesse about them, and I would like to see a little bit more finesse from either of them than just trying to muscle their way over the line. A good deft pass or a little grubber or something that keeps the opposition guessing would be nice. I know the center position has changed over the years, but it's starting to, with the quick 6 agains and whatnot, and the pace of the game, it's starting to come back to letting centers show a bit of their wares and not being just another back rower. And so I think in this scenario, we are being a little bit left behind in having that talented outside back that has speed, that they can back up a winger, can flick pass out the back or draw and pass even. And I just think we're missing that. So Hiroti's got that in spades from his limited opportunities. But like I said, that's not developing for the future. So as it stands, it's Ramian's position.
All right, Staffo, well, I know you think we should put Ronaldo into the centres, so I'm not going to ask you what you think we should do, but I'm going to ask you something a little different. So let's make the comparison. Ben Pomeroy was much maligned with Sharks fans and frequently made mistakes, but then he would do something cool, and we kind of enjoyed having Pomeroy, even though he was Pomeroy. Ramian doesn't seem to have that same fun about him with the, it's Pomeroy, he suplexed a dude and gets sinned in 2 games in a row or sent off, and, he scores 4 tries in a match. How does Ramian recover with the Sharks fans, and can he?
Yeah, he's had a number of pretty good years. I think he can recover. I think he needs to just stay a little bit more composed. The high tackles, that he occasionally does, or you see him see him give a few penalties away. I think those brain explosions are really what kills the fans. It is the bad defensive lapses, of course, but he's still getting really good run meters. In his stats, he's still driving out of his own end. You've just got to score tries and defend well. I don't think you're going to change his game too much. I think he's probably got at least a few more weeks, like if things keep going okay for us. But he's playing for a contract. That's where you can, you're allowed to get dropped as well. Sometimes you get dropped just for go down, get some confidence, a few weeks in the reserves, find your confidence back. Hiroti wouldn't let us down. He was so good last year at times. Totally agree. He could do a job. And if they're both finishing up at the end of the year, we don't really lose anything there as far as development. So, and then if Ramian, earns his way back in the side after a few weeks out, he may find something. So there's nothing wrong with getting dropped. It's okay. Sometimes players come back,
better.
Like it's the rocket they needed, or they found confidence or whatever it is. So it shouldn't be like it's the end of the world if you get dropped.
Sharks don't drop players, though.
You're dropping him because there's a better alternative, and really, as we've just discussed, it's only Hiroti
Is leaving.
Who's leaving. So I think, it'd be great if Ramian understood how to defend a high kick better without giving away penalties. But I think
That's
it's
like the bane of your existence.
Gosh, just understand the rules. But look, it's one of those things where he won't be dropped because he's too good for New South Wales Cup. He's not really gonna do much there. If anything, you might get sort of the Moylan scenario where he's dropped and just continues around in the extended bench, keeps getting named to the extended bench, and maybe jags a game here or there depending on what happens. He's not going to go play for the Jets, and I think that as we have seen in the past, I won't say we don't drop players. We do. It's just there needs to be a deluge of reasons to do so. I think that losing a couple of games, giving away a few penalties is not reason enough. And he's he might not be what we want right now, but he is a good player. He's a good centre. He's just not what we want. And by we, I mean us in this forum.
Yeah. I get it in the comments, guys. If you can remember any past Sharks droppings, Matt Moylan is obviously the most recent one that we can remember. Preston Campbell obviously got dropped once Chris Anderson turned up. Chris Anderson also dropped Nick Graham and Dean Treaster. We all know how that worked out for you, Chris Anderson, don't we? So any other ones?
Rudolph got dropped against the Bulldogs.
Yeah, he did,
the Bulldogs match where he gave away the penalty for them to kick for the win.
He played poorly that game.
He did play poorly that game, and he admitted it, and he got dropped. So it does happen.
Chad Smith in the comments says, can anyone see a parallel between Iro getting blooded in first grade after a long stint in New South Wales Cup and Gabriel? Well, if you remember, Chad Smith, 9505, that with KL Iro in New South Wales Cup for so long, the calls for him to come into the team were just irresistible after a while. And so he just had to come in. And our friend on Fins Up, Dan Nichols, was the largest exponent of that. It was going on about it for years. So I don't think Gabriel's at the point where he's got the fans banging the door down for him.
He hasn't had as long a run.
He hasn't had as long yet.
He's
either.
much younger. And Iro, I think, even had a debut match or two before going back to New South Wales Cup, and he got a taste and then went back down. So yeah, Gabriel's a lot earlier in that progression. Not saying that he can't come up, but I don't think he's as ready as Iro was.
All right, let's move on to the AGM, fellas. So we didn't make a big song and dance about the AGM last week, and frankly, I almost missed it. So interestingly, on the AGM, guys, if you want to be involved in the voting, if you've got a season ticket, that doesn't mean that you're automatically a voting member. You have to spend the extra $20 or $30 or whatever it is to become a voting member. So that's very important. And then also don't forget there's the football club and then there's the leagues club memberships as well. So they're also different. So just going to quickly hit through what the Sharks told us versus what actually matters. So the Sharks officially put out after the AGM. They talked about the Vegas success, Perth, and digital growth, community numbers and all that sort of stuff, and Leagues Club nearly being done, and Fitzy being extended. And they could even say, talking positively about the Leagues Club. They seem to be all on that. It's a very polished and positive update from the Sharks, and it seems fair that they've earned that. But what's interesting and what they don't talk about is it seems to be a very businessy style update. So it's all about numbers and finances and all that sort of thing, which maybe it should be. There's a little, very, very little on football, which is obviously a corporate annual report. The Leagues Club seems to be everything. They mentioned it multiple times. It's the September target. Finishing line is a year near. Oh, please just get the Leagues Club done. They called out the Fitzgibbon extension equaling stability. So they did that at the time of the AGM, and Fitzy was even there. Fitzy impressed a whole bunch of characters about talking about the history of the Sharks and all that. They also continue to slip in the stuff about the stadium funding, and they've now got an idea of teaming up with other sports groups around. Interestingly enough, the call out was that it was quite a small turnout. So not a lot of noise around this one. Which tells you something about maybe engagement with the board, or maybe everyone's just happy. Interestingly as well, it seems to be that Dino seems to be running the meeting. I wasn't actually there, but it seems Dino seems to be more in charge, which is interesting because Dino's the CEO, not the chairman. I also know that Steve Mace doesn't like to run those. So good for you, Dino. The financial realities is we've got around $7 million available at launch. They've seemed to be pretty stable in a good position. We'll dig deep on this one with the Solve guys when the financial results come out. Don't forget, they've got the $1 million per year for Mike Dorrell, so that helps out a lot. So overall, what's the Boldo conclusion on the AGM stuff? I think the Sharks are well run now. We're stable. The Sharks are growing. We've got a far bigger, group CEO Dino. So 15 years ago, you'd say we're a basket case. Now it's pretty boring, and no one bothers turning up to the AGM, and you don't even realize that it's on. So I think we're in a reasonably good position. I think we'd rather be well run than exciting. Franco, I don't think we want to be handing out flyers asking for you and me to be on the board anytime soon. I think we're in okay shape. So that's my take on the AGM.
Yeah, look, I think it's an interesting call out about it being quiet, and you don't really notice it happening because they don't seem to advertise it. And I don't know if I'm not on a particular mailing list or whatever, but I'm a member of both clubs. I'm a ticketed membership as well for the football club, voting member, and I didn't know it was on. Slipped right through.
You're also a host of a damn podcast that's about this team.
So, and I used to go to the AGMs fairly regularly because you do get a good little insight there, and you opportunity to ask questions if something was bugging you. But yeah, no, the last few years now, it's just sort of come and gone every time, and you get your email that says, "Oh, we had the AGM, and that was awesome. And everyone had a good day." And it's like, "Oh, what? I didn't know it was on. I would have gone." So it is. I don't know if that's a deliberate choice. Or if it's just, as I said, it could be me. I could be not on a mailing list somewhere, or it's going to spam. It's, possibly my fault. But it is something that I did used to attend, and was certainly more visible that it was coming up, posted on websites and things like that. And now it doesn't seem to be really advertised as heavily. But that said, doesn't matter. As you said, we're being run really well. There's not a lot of concerns if we got a sniff of some sort of dodgy business, then there might be some tinfoil hat scenarios as to why we're not being aware of the AGMs, certain board members being shuffled in and out and whatnot. But as it stands, everyone seems to be pulling in the right direction, and I'm more than happy for it to be a boring, dull night than people there yelling out and dragging,
sack the board,
drag Peter Gow out of wherever he is, and have him stand up and rally the troops. And we've seen all of that. We don't want to go back there. Let's just keep it dull and boring and enjoy the footy.
John Wood correctly points out that 2 years continuously is a paid voting member before you can vote. So it's very important, Sharks fans. I actually meant to talk about this a couple of weeks ago. is to understand your membership and make sure if you do want to be involved and be able to have a say, that you are a paid voting member, because your season ticket doesn't automatically guarantee that. And you see when you go onto the membership portal that you can see the voting rights. So make sure you've done that. Francis, I'll just wrap it with you. Do you see this boardroom set up as one that could translate to a premiership?
Well, I think short answer, yes. Stability is so important for the Leagues Club and the football club to move forward. So if we don't have that, which I think we're probably in the most stable position we have been for a long time, despite the ups and downs and some disgruntled fans about not having a Leagues Club, but at least if you're down at the ground, you can see some structure and some things are happening. So, yeah, I think it is quiet, but you can actually see things happening. But the short answer is, yeah, I think stability can lead us to, another premiership.
I agree with you there, Francis. And I'll just say shout out to you, Dino, Steve Mason, the rest of the crew there. I think you're doing a good job, because if you weren't doing a good job, I'd certainly just tell you. 2.0 certainly points it out. He says, well, it's cheaper to just complain on the debrief like he does. So if you want to complain about the debrief, maybe that's the new avenue that everyone's got. You can just complain on the debrief. All right, that was my take on the AGM. I tell you what, Forum does a good job talking about the AGM. If you want to jump on Sharks Forever, they have done quite a good job talking the AGM user SF. You're an absolute legend, user SF. I'll keep an eye on you. Yeah, good work. All right, Franco, other news around the Sharks? Anything you'd like to add?
User SF. I think he's the administrator and or owner, isn't he?
He's like a legend, that guy.
Yeah,
we've got to get him on, Franco.
I think he's a listener. He loves all podcasts from memory. So yeah, if you're there, SF,
shout out to you,
or
SF.
something. Obviously, yeah. Look, I mean, hey, let's Sharks community. I think whether you're here with us or you're at Sharks Forever or League Unlimited, wherever you get your chat on and talk Sharks with Sharks fans, I think it's something that is very cathartic for us, because we're such a frustrating team to follow at times. So, not everyone has a bunch of mates that follow the Sharks. So, it's easy to reach out and have a chat somewhere like this and there. And I think it's really good to do. But yeah, look, I think since our last Tuesday night, you mentioned it, the Fitzy re-signing is very important. That's come up and gone. I think we had a bit of a chat about it just before it happened to say, would you re-sign him? Boldo was very adamant that we should re-sign him. I was like, yeah, let's re-sign him, but there's no rush to do it. Well, we rushed to do it, and I'm nonplussed. I still think it's a good idea to make sure that he's with us. As Francis said, that stability is pretty important. So we've got that now, and I think he's shown the passion and commitment to the club that I really didn't expect when it was first announced that he was coming to join the Sharks. So he's won me over in that regard, and I think he's certainly looking for that long-term success at the club, which you can only do if you've got job security, as opposed to trying to make quick wins and quick fixes to keep your job. Burns is re-signed. We mentioned that on the debrief, so that's really good that he's sticking around. As you said in your tiers, Boldo, he's a bit of a club favourite now. Certainly puts in a lot. He's one of those 1% of players where he does everything, but he's also got a few trick shots up his sleeve. He's put a good little grubber in and fooled some players. So I really like watching him go about his work. So congratulations, Burns, for sticking around, mate. Here's to another 2 years with you. And we signed Trout from the Super League. He'll be joining us next year. I'd be honest with you, I don't know much about him other than he's a prop second rower. So we are a bit congested in that area, but we also know that we've got a few players in those positions that are off contract. So interesting to see that Trout is one of those signed there. Well, we've still got some in-house players yet to be signed. So for those that are talking about the clean out and change and rebuild and whatever, it might not be as drastic as a rebuild, but there's some new blood in the club coming, which will probably be at the expense of a regular. That said, we have traditionally, at least since Fitzy started, we'll talk about it, we've pretty much been a promote from within club. And for that, you've got to have strong junior base, strong pathways. And those sort of come and go. Not everyone's a winner. Not everyone plays really well in juniors can make it through to first grade. So you've really got to foster that and make sure that you've got that culture where they're performing and growing. And this year, unfortunately, I haven't really had a good eye over it. So I'm going to try and sort of get back into that as life settles down for me. But looking at results, it hasn't been too promising. We've got the Harold Matts there sitting in 12th with only 2 wins. They're out really with 1 round to go. SG Ball also not great, only 2 wins again, but through the miracle of for and against and whatnot, there's a mathematical chance that they might continue, but those 2 grades are basically done next week. So we'll probably cherry pick a few of the promising players from there and move them up to compete with spots in Jersey Flegg. They're just sitting outside the top 8, so they're doing a little bit better. They will look a lot stronger when we get some younger blood in there, and as I said, forcing a bit of competition there for spots. New South Wales Cup, we're just outside the 4 there. A little bit interesting there with how we're going because of the extended bench with first grade. So I think it's a little bit in flux about who's playing and who's available. But this last weekend we saw Hiroti at fullback, my preferred halves combination of Ford and Pollard, and we came away with a win. So hopefully this is a start to a bit of stability there, and to sort of see the New South Wales Cup players sort of getting that experience that we need to see them to put pressure on first grade. So interesting times. We really want to see that and support the local guys, the younger kids, and see how they go.
Great update, Franco.
Yep.
Yeah, perfect.
Thanks, mate.
All right, that was all the Sharks news, according to Franco. If we did miss anything, do get it in the comments. That was the ET Stand podcast for Tuesday night, guys. A longer one, but we did have a lot to talk about. So special thanks to Francis and Staffo for coming in and joining Franco regular. And we'll definitely get you guys in again. And hopefully, guys, I'm wrong. Doesn't happen often, but it does happen. It does happen. And let's just see if I've been able to get the outro video going. Guys, we'll see you sometime after full time. We'll get that announced 48 hours when Franco and I work out what time we're going to do the debrief. If you haven't watched it yet, go check out that 2000s classic Sharks versus Warriors. There'll be a few legends in there. We always love 2000 Sharks, like Sapichi and those sort of guys running around. This was the ET Stand. Up, Cronulla.
For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite-level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated, more often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.